Okay, I just coming from the news again. What can I say? It's the same news. It just gets worse and worse and worse, it seems. However, an interesting fact, it seems, is given as a fact that I heard mentioned by a bunch of Republicans, and he came out with this fact, and there was a whole bunch of Republicans. They were talking one after the other about, they wanted war. It was like they were like the mask of the military complex. That's what they were. They were every word, every lie, that came out of their mouths was like the military complex. They represented the robot. They represented the AI military complex. How do you win a war? How do you stay in power? All those AI answers to that. So these people, in the middle of their rants, mostly lies, the same thing, 40 heads being chopped off and all this kind of, rapists and all these, throwing babies out of incubators and stuff. Those people, those pure military complex liars. How do you, send these boys off to be killed? Well, you've got to fill them up with a lot of lies. That's what it seems. You've got to tell a lot of lies, terrible lies, about the other side. Mm-hmm. And then don't mention anything, you don't want a Julian Hussein or whatever, our sound, to expose what their militias are doing. Anyway, the interesting fact that came out of this Republican's mouth was as such. October the 7th happened, and the Biden administration, this is the fact that I'm questioning, they sent a message to Israel not to respond militarily, not to use this as an excuse for the invasion that has taken place. But that request or demand, I don't know how it went down, but it was obviously ignored by Israel, and it has been ignored day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9, and we're now over into hundreds. You see? So what is behind, what gives Israel so much power that they can just go like, sorry, Mr. Biden of the United States of America, but your military complex is our military complex. North Korea's military complex is ours. South Korea's, because we're all in it together. All of us complexes that make up the AI military complex of the world. It's just one complex, the military complex. You can imagine it's like 12-year-old boys playing games on their computers. And all the generals are joking, laughing in a way, playing the game, like, oh yeah, but if we bring in this, oh yeah, but, See what I'm trying to get at? It's like, okay, so that's the situation. We've got all of these generals, and their souls have been taken over by the complex. They don't have their own personal complexes. I mean, they do, but ultimately, no matter what complex they're suffering from paranoia, schizophrenia, doesn't matter what complex that a Freudian might place on all of the individuals of, planet Earth or whatever. But as far as these people in powerful military positions, their complex is AI. It's a robot. Their mind is working like a robot. They do not, I don't feel, obviously it's becoming obvious, they're not allowed to think outside the box of the military complex. So, it seems it's behooving on every human being on the planet, every one of us, to try and restrain the military complex somewhere. To try and create a situation where we can feel secure. At the same time, we're not being bullied by the very people who are trying to keep us secure, or aiming to keep us secure. Well, it's so clear now that these people are not people. These generals, they wear their suits and they are people. It's like, I'm not going to call them animals. All I'm saying is they're complexes, they're personalities. The personal complexes just stops at the military complex. They're already dead. It's like, people talk about dying to Jesus, or dying to, they're dead. They've given the Spirit to Jesus, or they're giving the Spirit to... These people are dead to a military complex, an AI. They are not allowed to think outside the box. Except very nasty thoughts at the very top, sometimes. I mean, they come up with things that, like thinking about outside the box, you know what I mean? Like, let's just blow the whole place to kingdom come, fulfill the prophecy of the books, you know what I mean? They have to be fulfilled. It was written, this has to happen. Who wrote it? When? Where? Under what circumstances? Anyway. I just find it fascinating to think that this fact that's coming out, that the American government told the Israelis not to react like they've just done. And the worst thing about it is that the very next day, America didn't say, we told them not to react like this, but they did anyway. You know what I mean? They weren't strong enough. The Biden government weren't strong enough to admit to everybody on the planet that they had told the Israeli government not to do this, not to invade. And I'm not talking about the recent invasion. I'm talking about on October the 8th, 2023. These, according to these Republicans who want war, but according to these war-mongering Republicans, they said it themselves, that they said that Biden demanded Israel not react. And then Israel reacted, and they said nothing. They were silent after that. They couldn't face the fact that the Israeli government just ignored their request not to start this military campaign. And so they're still ignoring it. But what makes it really bad, I feel, is the fact that on October the 9th, every newspaper didn't say the American government ordered or told Israel not to react, and they did. Imagine that, America told Israel not to react in this military fashion, and there they are bombing hundreds of children and thousands of children. Then the next day, more thousands, and more and more. And they keep doing it, and it's now hundreds of days on. And they're still doing it. And still, it's only after all that time that this fact has just come out. That they were ordered by America not to do it, and they did it anyway. And they continue to do it anyway. Now, what kind of a hold, an Epstein blackmailing hold, do they have on the American government and all the that sit in those seats of power? Well, the hope is that individuals all over the planet now can rise from their seats of power. We can get something done. Yes, Israel, I see it. A state of Palestine with no military. A state of Palestine with no military. A protectorate state, like Lesotho was to the British Empire, or like I've mentioned before. There's Iceland, there's a few other countries that do not have military. They don't need military because they're protected by bigger powers around them, it would seem. So, that a holy land with no military allowed, a holy land. Like the old forbidden city of Mecca, the original Mecca, where Muhammad ordered we are not allowed to kill a bird. That, I'm told, is translated from the Quran, believe it or not. In the original Mecca, where the cave was, where Muhammad talked to the angel Gabriel, when all that took place, it was Petra. And Petra was the Mecca. Now, the story of how the Mecca in Petra that Muhammad was involved with are pointed to. How did it get down there to Saudi Arabia? Well, it took civil war, it took the money and the war, the military complex at the time, and the Muslim, some religious leaders conspiring together, the usual, where it's like religion and the money and the war and the military complex conspire together, and they ended up down in Mecca with a sort of like I suppose a half-assed version of what Muhammad, had in mind as a peaceful living coexistence for all peoples of the planet. That's how I feel it. And I haven't read the Quran. I'm just picking up pieces here and there, It's eluded me up to now. And some of the kind of translations that that they're sending out, I get are printed in America somewhere. You know what I mean? And they're printed, designed to sort of fuck up the heads of people like ISIS and stuff like that. They're not genuinely trying to. They're doing the opposite. They're generally trying to bring out the truth and the love of God. So what are they trying to do? When they go